I never imagined a simple favor could unravel everything I thought I knew about my life. But there I was, sitting in my office parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, feeling the world slip quietly beneath me while I waited for a ride I never thought I'd need. It all started innocuously enough. I had a last-minute meeting with one of our investors downtown, and my car, my old faithful sedan, decided to betray me at the worst possible moment. When I called my business partner Alex, asking for a ride, I didn't think twice. Alex had always been reliable, practical, and easygoing, the kind of person who could make traffic feel almost tolerable with his dry humor. I parked my car under the dim glow of the lot's street lamps and saw Alex's headlights cut through the darkness. He pulled up with that familiar grin, and I climbed in, joking about how my luck always seemed to time itself perfectly for disaster. But as soon as we merged into traffic, I noticed his glance lingering on my phone lying face down on the passenger seat. "Everything okay?" he asked casually, though his eyes carried something heavier than concern. I smiled, dismissing it. "Yeah, just a hectic morning. You know how it is." We drove in silence for a few minutes, the hum of the tires against the asphalt filling the gaps between us. I tried to focus on the road signs, the city's lights, anything to distract from the gnawing feeling in my chest I couldn't quite name. That's when my phone buzzed. I hesitated, but Alex gave me a knowing nod. "Go ahead." It was a message from Rachel, my wife. "Don't wait up. I'll be late." I frowned. Rachel wasn't usually late. Our marriage, though far from perfect, was built on transparency, or so I thought. I typed back a quick, joking reply. "Don't forget to bring me back a coffee." Alex's eyes narrowed, just slightly, before he returned his gaze to the road. "You sure she's fine?" he asked, voice low. "You've been worried lately." I waved him off, forcing a laugh. "I trust her. Really I do. Sometimes I just overthink things." But deep down I couldn't shake the unease. Something about her message felt off. Not in the words, but in the way it landed in my hands, almost like a whisper from another world telling me to pay attention. We arrived at the office building downtown, and Alex parked beside the valet. I reached for my briefcase, but Alex stopped me. "Wait. Just give me a second." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his phone, tapping rapidly. Then he glanced at me, eyes a mixture of hesitation and certainty. I didn't want to say anything before, but I saw something. "Something you might want to know about Rachel." My chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" Alex exhaled, like he was trying to push air through a dam of nerves. "She was at the cafe across the street, last Thursday. Not alone. With a man. And it didn't look like a business meeting." The words hit me like ice water. I blinked, my mind scrambling for reason, for denial, for any logical explanation. "What do you mean, not alone?" Alex hesitated. "I mean, they were close. Too close. Kissing close. You didn't see it yourself, but I did. I wouldn't mention it if I thought you didn't need to know." I laughed nervously, a sound I didn't recognize. "That's impossible. Rachel wouldn't, we." My voice trailed off. I didn't want to admit how plausible it sounded, how my gut was starting to betray me. Alex reached over, gripping my shoulder lightly. "I'm telling you because I care, man. Watch out. Be careful." I left the office that day feeling hollow, like the world had tilted on its axis. Every memory of Rachel, the soft way she kissed me in the mornings, the little notes she left in my briefcase, the laughter echoing through our apartment, suddenly felt suspect. Every moment was a question mark. I didn't call her that night. I didn't know if I could. Instead, I drove home in silence, gripping the wheel as if holding on to her memory could somehow keep it intact. When I walked through our apartment door, I found her curled on the couch, scrolling on her phone, her hair falling in soft waves over her shoulder. She looked up, smiled, and my heart twisted painfully at the ease with which she carried on. "Hey, how was your day?" she asked, stretching. "I grabbed some takeout, hope you're hungry." I nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, thanks." We ate in tense silence. I watched her, studied her gestures, looking for cracks, for signs, for anything that could reassure me, or confirm the dread building inside me. But Rachel was normal. Too normal. Later that night I couldn't sleep. I sat on the edge of our bed, my mind a torrent of suspicion and disbelief. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I needed proof. I wasn't going to confront her on a rumor. I needed to see for myself. I waited. Days passed. I tried to act normal, but every message from her, every laugh, every brush of her hand against mine felt like a trigger. I started keeping track of her phone habits, subtle at first, then increasingly obvious in my obsession. Finally, an opportunity presented itself. Rachel told me she was going out to meet a friend for coffee. I pretended to be busy with work while my heart hammered against my ribs. I followed her, careful to stay unnoticed. She entered the same cafe Alex had mentioned. And there he was, tall, dark-haired, charming in a way that made my stomach twist. They laughed together, close enough that I could see the way she leaned into him. She reached for his hand, and he kissed her palm lightly. I froze, my vision blurring with disbelief and rage. The betrayal wasn't subtle. It wasn't a glance, a touch, or a fleeting moment. It was deliberate, intimate, undeniable. I didn't confront them then. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I left, my hands trembling on the steering wheel, my mind consumed with the silent storm of betrayal. That night, Rachel came home, humming a tune, completely unaware of the devastation building behind my eyes. I sat in the dark living room, my thoughts a sharp, jagged storm. The next morning, I went to work as if nothing had happened. I buried myself in meetings, emails, contracts, anything to drown out the image of them at the cafe. But every time I closed my eyes, it was there. The way she laughed, the way he touched her hand, the casual intimacy that had no place in our marriage. I confronted her finally, not with shouting, not with tears, but with cold, steady words. "Rachel," I said, standing in our kitchen while she sipped her coffee. "I know." She froze. Her face, the picture of calm I had trusted for years, cracked. "Know what?" she asked, though her voice betrayed panic. "I know about the cafe. I know about him. I know everything I needed to know." She went pale, setting her mug down like it had burned her fingers. "Azza, No," I interrupted, my voice low and measured. Don't try to justify it. Don't tell me it didn't mean anything. 'Cause I followed you. I watched." Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't flinch. I didn't want excuses. I wanted truth. I didn't want to hurt you," she whispered finally. "It just happened. I didn't plan it." I shook my head. "That's not how this works, Rachel. It doesn't just happen. You chose him. Over us. Over everything we've built." She fell silent, and for the first time in years, I saw fear in her eyes. The fear of losing me, of the life she had taken for granted. "I trusted you," I said, my voice cracking just slightly despite my effort to stay composed. "I trusted you more than anyone. And you broke that." The next weeks were a blur of arrangements, discussions, and unbearable tension. We stayed together in the apartment, going through the motions of normalcy while the invisible wall between us grew taller and taller. Every smile she offered felt like a knife twisting in my chest, every word like sandpaper scraping raw nerves. Eventually I made the decision. I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies, no matter how much I loved her. I filed for separation, moved out, and slowly began reclaiming pieces of myself I hadn't realized I'd lost in the quiet surrender of trust. Rachel called, begged, tried to explain. I listened politely, but I had already made peace with my heart breaking. Love alone isn't enough to bind two people when trust is shattered beyond repair. Months later, Alex approached me, cautious and kind. "I'm sorry you had to go through that, man. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but I couldn't stay quiet." I nodded, a hollow smile crossing my face. "Thank you for telling me. I needed the truth, even if it hurt more than anything I've ever felt." Life went on, painfully at first, then with a slow, steady rhythm that reminded me of my own strength. Rachel moved out of the apartment, and I finally felt the weight of betrayal lift slightly, leaving me with scars, yes, but also with clarity. I trusted, I loved, and I lost, but I also learned something invaluable. The truth, no matter how painful, gives you the chance to reclaim your life. The rest is rebuilding. Slowly, painfully, but with purpose. I still think about her sometimes, the woman I once loved more than life itself. But I no longer feel the sting of uncertainty. Betrayal left a wound, yes, but it also left a lesson. To value myself, to recognize deceit, and to never ignore the whisper of truth, even if it comes from the most unexpected place. And every time I get into my car now, whether driving myself or accepting a ride from a trusted friend, I glance at the road ahead, not in fear, not in suspicion, but with the quiet, hard-earned certainty that I will never let someone's lies steer my life again.